Hello, this is Victor and we're here with a new weekly. This time I'm going to explain you while doing this base how I do rocks and this part of sand. The other days I will do it separately, but this tutorial is just to focus a way to how to paint the rocks in a way that they look quite really, and also how to do the sand in between the rocks. As you can see, this was primed with black, and the first thing I will do, I will apply a layer of Charadon granite that is very dark color. I want to make them to look quite dark at the beginning, so we are going to use a big brush. We don't need the detail, of course, to do that. So I will use the wash brush, for example, in that case. Thin out the paint, take water and thin it out to be sure that you cover well the surface, and take into account when the surface is very rough, as this is the case here, it's better to water down to be sure that you're covering well the surface. If not, you will use a lot of paint and it will not flow easily. So normally when I'm painting the bases that have a very rough finishing, I water the paint quite a lot. So as you can see, I use a lot of you paint this making a thin layer. I don't care about the other details that you have on the base. I will paint all over the different details because this is going to be the base color for most of the base. I will paint all the base with that color, and I will be back in a minute. Sorry that I had an issue with the camera, but what I want to explain now is after the Charadon granite, that color is completely dry, I'm using Camry brown, and I'm dry brushing here on the more inside parts of the so the part that are like sand, and I'm using this brown because it's a little bit greenish and will do very nice combination with the rocks. And here the dry brush is I don't dry too much. I just apply it. I don't care, and if I'm dirtying other parts, because I will do them later on. And what is important is that you use an old brush, and a brush that is quite soft in the way that it's making easier for you to make to dry brush all these parts. So I will first do this dry brush with the Camry brown, and then the next one I will take now racar flesh. So here racar flesh, and I will do a second dry brush with racar flesh. This one has to be softer because we want to keep the previous layer. So just a little bit here. You see that, and maybe you don't need to do it in all the parts. Very soft, and it's good that it's not completely homogeneous when you do this part, but this will give. And the other thing is, I'm imagining that the sand next to the rocks is not that different. I'm looking here for grayish color all around. This is what I'm using, these colors. So I want to say that this is a very easy and straightforward tutorial. Here I just want to share with you some very basic techniques, and it's the dry brush. And I think the rocks for me is where the dry brush excels, and is where I use more dry brush, and is the technique that is working the best for rocks in my case. Now I will start working on the rocks, and I will start applying administration gray. It's quite a big contrast and a big jump versus the Charadon granite, but I think it will work perfectly. And as well, I take some, you dry it, and then you will see that this is more greenish. With the previous greenish was more browny, and this is going to be more like gray with a little bit of blue tonality. So you apply this. What you do is you take paint, I dry it with the tissue, and then I just dry brush all over the surfaces. You will see that all the texture, the scale is bark, what I use here, I'm using bark from trees. So you see, I divide. You have to divide, not too much in that case because it's the first layer, and you apply it. And you can use normal paints. You don't need to use divide paints only to do that. And I prefer to start with some color that is darker and do different layers of the wire brush. Even with the rocks that maybe looks quite straightforward, it's good to have different layers. So again, when it's, take it and apply. And in the previous layer, if you went over the rocks, it's not a problem. Can be also sand or dust going on the rocks. So we have to imagine that these natural rocks or this type of elements are not uniform. You can have parts that are dirt or parts that have some oxide or have some minerals that are from. So it's not necessary that they have to be completely uniform. So and later on I will show you how to even break more and play to break the uniformity. So you will see that I'm doing this layer with the Deptus, is the Administratum gray. Don't worry if you apply on these elements that I put here. They are just for decoration. Okay, and I will paint them later on. This is just debris from the battle. Okay, this is how it's looking like. Next step I will do, you can use here now, I will use this one, no, the Administratum gray, so sorry, Administratum gray, no, again, I want to go for clear color. Now I will start using dry paints from Games Workshop. You can use also any color that is similar. I will use, this is almost white and it's called Longbeard Gray. I only use this for terrain. I never use them on miniatures. I think they are too thick and they give a very stony finishing. So this is why I like it for the rocks, but I don't recommend them to be used for other things. So this one, and these two, I will apply this one. You see that is the finishing, it's giving very nice finishing. If you don't want that to be so clear, but I think it's, so just very little. Don't apply too much, if not it's going to be too clear. That's all. So that should be enough. And then we can start playing with other tones. So I will use now another dry paint that is called Underhive Ash. It's a little bit greenish. Also you see that these paints are extremely thick. We'll paint a little bit. If you clean the wash, as I'm doing, you have to be sure that you dry completely well the brush. When you're doing dry brush, you need first take the paint dry, because if not, it's not working perfectly. So you see, I take this one is a greenish color. See here is like a greenish color. Dry it well, and I will apply this just in some areas. For example, like that. I will apply like not in all the parts. Okay. You can reinforce more one side. It's just to break the uniformity. Rocks are not uniform. They have all this type of things on top of the rocks, so this will break the uniformity. I think this should be enough. And I like to use even another color that is Terminator's Stone. This is like a yellowish color. Take some as well, and then I apply in some other parts. You can apply a little bit here also. So it's just to make the rock less uniform and making more natural color. The last thing I will do, and this is because this is like so the other things that you can do is this is part of the battlefield. So we can imagine that there are some rest of the debris. So here you see I will paint this later on. I will not cover this in tutorial, but now I will use a little bit of blood for the blood god. So we can imagine that a guy or fight have occurred here, and it can be some fresh blood from previous. So I will take this one, and then I will splash like that. You see? And then you have like, and this should be enough. I will not put more. Just a little bit. If you can accumulate here a little bit more, and that's all. So you see, you take a brush that is quite stiff and you splash a little bit. I don't think you need to splash. We can splash a little bit more here if you feel it. So the technique is just I take it and that way. So you need to have quite some in the paint. You also can use toothbrush to do that. Okay. So this is just some blood that have fall here, and this will be all. So I think this will finalize, and now this base is ready to work. The other details I will do it separately, but here is just I want to show you how to do rocks that looks quite nice, easy, fast, and this will give a very nice base for. So this is going to be the base for this guy. So this is an all Talos that I'm just adding to my army, to my Dark Elder army. I had this miniature for long. This was in very bad shape. I have to rebuild some of the parts, and you see I changed some parts. So this is the base. And that's all. So this is finishing this part of the tutorial here. I hope you find interesting how to do rocks. It's very straightforward, very easily, and I just wanted to do a tutorial for people that is starting in the hobby and and just to show some very basic techniques. Of course, all this part here I will paint the rim of the base later on with a darker color. You can see in some cases I use this brown to do I will always recommend, this is just another tip, I will always recommend to paint the rims of the bases. So if you see here our temples that I did, this is why I was doing this grayish color. So this have to match with the witches that paint some time ago. So I hope you find this tutorial interesting, and that's all. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye.